to the extra trader string side of the cash open. Daily USXT open is now available in headline feed as well as the research suites. ticker F around 14 May, US 50 vehicle sales up 16%, with every vehicle sales of 29,452 units.
Alright guys, I'm getting this up. One of my monitors is this stupid game console crosshair game plus thing keeps popping up on one of my monitors, and unfortunately it's the monitor that I use to do the back end of YouTube Studio. So anyways, we'll work with it. I'll pop out the chat and we'll go from there, because it's just the chat that I had to read. All right, so let me make sure I've unmuted myself. Everything looks good over there. We're going good there. Pause the music. We don't need that. And let's do this. So yeah, Bitcoin is currently setting up for either a short or it's going to rock and roll. We're not real sure. One thing that this needs to go over here. One thing that I've noticed is it is currently trading kind of sort of with yen futures, but it has only been doing that since May, around May the 12th. If we put in yen futures up here, you can kind of see like right in through here, we were not trading with yen futures, but right in there, May 12th, It's when yen futures started to get a rise, and Bitcoin kind of started trading with it. And then yen futures topped out here on Friday. So did Bitcoin. Yen futures rolled over. So did Bitcoin. And we've currently got a 3-day spike on Bitcoin. And yen futures also got a spike up. You can see right here today, yen futures is currently trading down on the day. Now, I'm obviously not saying that yen futures and Bitcoin are trading 1-for-1. They're not. I'm just saying that as of right now, they are trading a little bit similar. And that's what we're going to keep an eye on today. As of right now, Bitcoin did get a couple days worth of upside. Yesterday was an important day for me because I wanted to see Bitcoin stay or at least close above the 21 exponential moving average. And that's this yellow line right here at your 21. Yesterday we were trading under it and we closed up above it, which is important. Today we made a higher high, but we tagged old weekly. That's the old high week close. So this is the high week close that I'm talking about. We have another high week close here, but this is the old high week close. And if you look yesterday here, we traded up and hit that and got rejected. So basically it slammed it back down. So this is going to be your high of day, as this is the daily open right here, this candle. Oh, sorry, I'm on the 30-minute chart. Thought I was on the hourly. Right there is your daily open. This white line here is your intraday VWAP. And then the maroon line down here is going to be your monthly VWAP for the month of June. Right? That's where we are. So right here's June's open. So we are currently trading above June's open, but we're trading under last week's close. So here we are on the weekly. We're red on the week. We're trading under last week's close. Back over here to the 30-minute time frame. This intraday res is just under last week's close, which is this week's open. So you can see we currently have a potential resistance zone forming here at 105,697. If we go look at bearish targets, what would we get? Bearish targets going to be down here at the hot white line at about 103.6, or not spot, sorry, 103. $103,600, 103.6. That's about where I would be targeting if I was a bear. On the daily, we are above momentum. We have tested momentum, and so far momentum has held as support. Here's your test. We were trading under the 50 on this day, but we closed above it. So that makes us close above. We tested it again here, here, and here. So the last 3 days in a row, we've been testing this 50 spot on the RSI, which if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know I use this momentum oscillator to show me where momentum is. Do the bulls have momentum? Do the bears have momentum? Above 50 on the daily and weekly time frame only. I don't care about a 4-hour and all that, right? Under 4 hour, I don't care. Just daily, weekly. We are currently above momentum on daily and weekly. So the bulls are still in control of price, even though we had a small pullback. We had 7 weeks of advance in a row, up straight, 7 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So obviously a week to 3 would be sideways to down, right? A pullback. Nothing goes straight up. Nothing goes straight down. There's always oscillations in the marketplace because people are emotional, and emotional trading causes those oscillations. Currently also watching gold. Gold. If gold is going, yesterday gold was super strong. That's not gold. That is GLD. Yesterday gold was super strong on the futures. This upside closing daily candle liquidated last week and the previous week. So we've liquidated 2 weeks worth of price action on yesterday's close, last week, previous week. We have a 3-bar upward expansion pattern going on right here on gold. This is your upward expansion. This is your pullback. This is your other upward expansion. So I don't love the gold short. If you look at gold on the weekly time frame, it is up. We do have bearish divergence. Here is your bearish divergence on gold. That is your high week close. This week closed higher but lower on the oscillator. Here is that high close up here around 80 on the RSI. This high close is higher, and on the oscillator it is lower. That is the very definition for bearish divergence. With that being said, yesterday looks extremely bullish, explosive move up out of this bullish momentum zone on the oscillator. If we go down to the 8-hour time frame, I was concerned. Well, we don't need to go down to the 8-hour time frame on gold. That's Bitcoin. But anyways, if this was a if this is going to be a bull trap, what you need to see today is you need to see a downside expansion. I would assume that if you do get a 1 standard deviation move of the current day's range, your downside target would put you somewhere around 33.40 to 33.35. I would not be looking for much more downside expansion below the midpoint of yesterday's range. That is if you take a gold short. If you do not believe that this is going to be a bull trap, if you believe that this is a breakout to the upside because of inflationary fears or whatever, then inflation, recession, whatever fears you think are out there, if you think this is why gold is moving up and you want to become bullish, well, then you're looking to buy it pretty close to where you are currently. Let me go to gold on Oanda just so I can bring up the intraday chart and show you where your point of control is. Point of control on gold currently is going to be setting right about where price is trading. Now, this is a current, this would be what we call a B on this momentum or on this indicator. These sometimes will break down and then you'll make a fresh low of day and then you'll get like in this area and then volume will look like that. All right. If it does break down, if it breaks back out to the upside, you've got some resistance right in there for intraday resistance that you have to be careful and cautious of if you are in fact looking for upside moves on gold. I am looking for gold to break down, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin will go up. I am just looking for gold to pull back, right? Because in my opinion, all the charts and all the data that I look at on a normal basis does not suggest that we know we're not seeing higher inflation, even though the talking heads on the news media is telling everybody that we are seeing higher inflation. We are not. Hang on, let me get this back. Did I just screw that up? All right. We are not seeing higher inflation. CPI has been trending down all year, and PCE also got a lower tick last week. So PCE is also trending lower. So no high inflation, but that doesn't mean that the market isn't going to become bearish based on a recession, right? A recession. So let's run through this real quick. There's your total non-farm payrolls. This is what it looks like in a recession. That is not what we are seeing now. Here's your gross domestic product or your GDP. We did have 1 quarter of negative GDP for Q1 2025 was negative. The expectations for Q2 GDP is positive. You need 2 quarters in a row for a recession. But remember, when Biden was in office, we did get 2 negative quarters of GDP in a row. However, the media gaslit everybody and said we are not in a recession. You need to have the MBER's 5 data points confirm a recession. Just because you got GDP down does not confirm recession. So we're going to run through those. We do have Q1 down. If Q2 is down and then we start to see, we got non-farm coming out this week. If it's lower, then we could be seeing that. But here's real personal incomes. This is another one, excluding current transfer receipts. And then we've got advanced retail food service sales. I can't get the retail data that I was looking for. This is the best that I could come up with. So clearly it is topped out here, but it is not going down, which is what you need. And then I do not know how to find the line chart on this, but you can see right here, November, December of 2024, total index was around 102, then 103.1. Here's Jan, Feb, March, and April of 2025. All four of these prints are higher than we seen in the last 2 months of 2024. Though trending in the upward direction is not trending downward. In order to see a recession, these numbers plus the other charts that I just showed you have to be trending down, going down. You cannot call a recession when everything is moving up. You have 1 out of 6 prints that shows you a negative number. That does not mean you have a trend. You have a point, 1 data point out of 6. That is it. That is not good enough. Not good enough. Plus, if we look at other things like the ratios charts that I have, we are not seeing investors position themselves into recessionary fears. So basically, this is what we have. For a signal today on Bitcoin for a short, we're going to say, well, the BOJ, or not the BOJ, sorry, let me get this up and over here. Not the BOJ, the futures, yen futures, sorry, over here, yen
To
futures.
be aware of denotes that Small Group and SOCAR have signed the key terms for an exploration, development, and production sharing agreements.
Down on the day. So this was your low of day on yen futures. Yen futures has already made a fresh daily low, and you are seeing continuation to the downside. Now the market's going to open in 1 minute. 1 minute will be the New York session open, or the New York Stock Exchange open, I should say. So this could reverse. If it does, then, you know, if Bitcoin is trading with yen futures, then we would expect to see Bitcoin be bullish today with yen futures. If Bitcoin is trading with yen futures, then we should see Bitcoin roll over. So if Bitcoin is going to roll over, this is the area that we would expect to see that, whether it's the weekly open, the daily VWAP, or intraday resistance. All right. Now, if you have been following me for a little bit, you know that I do my day trading on the platform Weeks. There is a link in the description if you want to trade on Weeks, but please, it is an offshore exchange. Make sure you use what money you can afford to lose if you are going to trade on an offshore exchange. It is dangerous. Now, with that being said, what I have noticed on the Weeks exchange is the fees on Bitcoin when using 20x leverage or higher is extremely high. It's very expensive. So if you're the one that likes to take multiple trades per day, gold just dropped like a bat out of hell, which is good because I have a short side bias on gold. And here we go, starting to see that move lower. That's what I want to see. My current gold short is sitting at 33.86. I got to set a stop loss. I couldn't get you guys into the gold short. Unfortunately, it was just, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was going over everything that we need to know going into today, but there still is a potential trade on Bitcoin, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. You be the judge of that. You're red on the week right now. You need to get above 105,697 to be green on the week. And since we did see a pretty strong rejection yesterday off of that high week close, we did only get into yesterday's midpoint. Yesterday was a very shitty sideways day. Very, very slow moving sideways crappy day. So there's a lot of data points that I've thrown your way. Obviously, to try to get a bullish bias on Bitcoin, my bullish bias would come from the fact that we are above the 50 on the daily time frame. We are above the daily 21 exponential moving average, or we did close above it yesterday. We are currently testing it right now to see if it wants to hold as support. You can see the daily 21 exponential moving average comes right in line with today's current point of control. Point of control is just where the most volume has traded in today's daily range. So right here at this price, The most trades have been taken on Bitcoin at 105,370 since we have that huge liquidation breach down here at 103.6. That is why I would be, and plus if it is trading with the yen futures, all that stuff, maybe it goes lower. I don't want to see it go lower. I hold Bitcoin in a cold storage wallet. I like Bitcoin to always go up. Unfortunately, it does not always go up.
Just want to be aware of, do notice that Russia has abandoned the idea of the Turkish backdoor to Europe's gas market, according to reports in Bloomberg. Does note that Russia's Gazprom has quietly shelved plans to develop a new gas distribution hub in Turkey, closing the door on a potential opportunity to regain a foothold in European markets
on the
lost
gold
since
trade
the invasion of Ukraine.
Because it's up nicely, and I like to always take profits, so I'm going to buy to close here and then maybe look for another entry on gold a little bit later, if it does give us that entry. So here's Bitcoin rejecting off of intraday res. Your downside target on Bitcoin should obviously, first target should be a little bit above low of day because you got that monthly VWAP coming in there. But if that 21 exponential is going to hold, then I would expect that to do so here pretty soon. But anyways, back to the week's BOEM thing. I've been trading this asset called BOEM. It's a shit coin on weeks. I've been looking at it. It's much cheaper to trade it. Basically what I'm saying is if I trade BOEM with $1,000 position size and Bitcoin with $1,000 position size to enter that position on Bitcoin using the same leverage, everything's the same, I can get in on a BOEM market order for like $8 in and then $8 to get out of it. Whereas with Bitcoin, it costs you around $20 to get in and $20 to get out. Also, BOEM moves a lot more than Bitcoin does. So it is a lot more volatile, or it has been lately. That volatility could dry up, and not all, obviously not all crap coins do the same thing that Bitcoin does. Sometimes they trade differently. But as of right now, you can see BOEM currently, trading up into a little bit of a supply candle there. Not really looking for it to go down. I have a bearish bias on gold. And gold, I think, is going to be the catalyst to help drive Bitcoin higher, because the people that are still in gold, once they realize that gold might be going into a period of consolidation for an extended amount of time, once they realize that there probably is not going to be a recession and inflation is going lower, then I'm expecting them to take profits and move that capital from gold into Bitcoin once they realize that everything is going to be okay. So that is why I keep an eye on gold when I'm trying to take intraday Bitcoin scalps. If gold is, going up, then I typically don't want to be bullish on Bitcoin, and then vice versa. So that's basically what I'm looking at. Go back over to yen futures. It does look like yen futures is getting a little bit of a bounce.
And denotes the Dutch Prime Minister who steps down following Wilder's decision to quit the coalition.
Bitcoin is currently selling off. Now, I have a long position on BOEM and a short position on Bitcoin. I know it doesn't make sense. I wanted to position myself short on BOEM and get long on Bitcoin. Unfortunately, the way price was, it just was not giving me that opportunity. Here on the daily time frame, I have essentially got two underside trend lines here. The yellow trend line is going to be tacked from the low of May the 12th, which is Monday.
Says the
and then the other part of that trend line is, where is it? Okay, it's tagged to May 19th's low. And that's currently where we're testing now. But if you want to encompass all of the downside wicks, then you would take that first initial tag of May 12, and then your secondary test would be over here at May 31. The lows of day. And that will encompass all of these downside wicks to give you sort of a guideline, if you will, on the higher time frame chart. If you are breaking down and closing dailies under these trend lines, then there's a pretty good chance we're coming back down to retest $100,000. And I can see that happening for the simple fact that when we broke back out above that area, we set that 100K big fig right in the middle of this bullish candle. Midpoints are very much a thing. They are very much a thing. That is how most exchanges calculate your positions, whether to basically make you get out of the trade or to keep you in the trade. So they are very important to keep an eye on midpoints. All right. So that's basically, that tells you, hey, this was an old area of resistance and has potentially now flipped to support. If my microphone and voice with the P's and T's is like distorted, let me know in the chat and I will move the microphone further away from my face. But anyways, this could end up being a support zone. So if we did break down and come down and test this for the first time since breaking out, it might be a good area to look for a support build up in that area. It doesn't mean it will. I'm just saying that would be my first like real spot that I would want to put back on some risk on Bitcoin if it were in fact going to hold as support for like a longer term hold, not a day trade, right? A longer term hold. So yeah, you got a lot of support under you right here is essentially what I'm trying to say. Lots of support. That yellow trend line comes in there. This is going to be, it's not a good demand candle, but maybe there's a demand candle on a smaller time frame. I mean, it's a decent looking demand candle on the hourly. You got 21 minutes left on the hourly close. I know everybody likes to look at the 5-minute time frames and the 1 minute, 10 seconds. I mean, I can do that. I just think it's useless to look at anything under a 30-minute time frame because you need to wait for closes. Closes are so important because you'll see an expansion where the candle will move its entire range, like say a 30-minute candle. We've gotten this entire move right here in what, 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes of time. This thing could close up here. You know what I'm saying? So if you jump in the trade right this second, not waiting for at least a 30-minute close, you could be flying into this thing blind. You don't know what's going to happen, neither do I. But yeah, that's the way we work it. I generally don't like to take shorts at the bottom half of the daily range. If you like put a midpoint, this is your daily range, this blue square here. So your midpoint would be roughly around where the weekly open is. I generally don't like to take shorts below the midpoint just because I just don't. You know what I mean? I like to try to get the majority of the daily range. But if we do make a measured move of this daily range, then that would probably get us pretty close to making a bearish engulfing candle today if it were in fact to go to the downside. Like a 1 standard deviation move from where it currently is. You can see right here's yesterday's low. That would be a bearish engulfing candle. So if you are taking a short, you're taking a short in an expectation of a bearish engulfing happening. But like I said, gold is still working its way to the downside. I would like to get another VWAP test on gold if I can. If I do see that, I will alert you. Good evening from down under. What's up, Poeta? Been a long time. Good morning, Brian. Been a long time since I've seen you too. Sloth Bag. A lot of the old school folks in here. Every death in Final Destination had to face getting annihilated. Was pretty cool. Good morning, Heath. I was wrong. About what? I learned a big lesson. With that said, can you have a look at Tesla? Yeah. Listen, guys, I'm never, like, I will bust your balls. You know what I'm saying? I'm the kind of guy that likes to shoot around with everybody and have a good time. I don't take things too seriously. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever take things too seriously. I've been doing this a long time, so I have just a little bit more time than you. That is all. That is all. I cannot predict the future. I do not know what's going to happen. So you were not wrong. The trade was it was up, but it wasn't back at the beginning of the year. I was bullish at the beginning of the year. In going into February, I was looking for support. Guess what? I was wrong. It's not about being right and wrong on our calls. It's about making money. That's what I'm trying to help you guys do. I don't want you guys to be able to make right and wrong calls. Calls are useless. Calls do not put money in the bank. Money puts money in the bank. You need to make money. And sometimes the only way to do that
Just some
is to
update
just
out of Brazil.
trade less
AMP
and
reporting Brazil's
trade
oil
smaller.
output reaches 13.7 million barrels per day in April.
So yeah, Tesla having a bit of a bounce here this morning, but is now going back. It looks like it's just testing yesterday's open. This could be a morning star formation on a daily time frame, but you have to close above yesterday's high for a real
And out
morning.
of South Africa, the government noting that South Africa's wholesale diesel prices to fall by 36.9 cents a litre.
For a real morning star formation to be legit, you would almost need Tesla to close today up around 352. That would be a basic morning star reversal formation, potentially. They don't always work. So, like, I don't really love Tesla here like this. I do like that it's pulled back a little bit. And one could arguably look for long entries at Tesla's open. Yesterday's open, not today's. Yesterday's open. But where are you going to manage your risk from? Because yesterday's low is all the way down to 333. So it's not the best trade. What I would probably rather do if I was going to be looking for any kind of an intra-week or intraday scalp on Tesla, I would want to see it close back up here today. And then tomorrow, maybe watch for a support test down around this area. So you, in a sense, see today go up, close up in here, come back in tomorrow and test this candle as support and hold it for that next move up. Like, that's the way I'd play Tesla right now. I don't really love just buying it here, but like, I haven't even checked technicals. Technicals, you're still uber bullish on the daily. You're still bullish on the weekly. So that's good. Let's see. Did we lose anything on the 8 hour? No, you did lose it briefly here, and you did take out this candle's high. So it does look like you are in the midst of forming a bull trap or a bear trap here on Tesla. So maybe one could potentially watch the open of yesterday for a bullish entry on Tesla if you get a tag of that level. Point of control is setting just above that, so it does look like a lot of people are thinking, I want to be a buyer of Tesla at 343 spot 50 or a little bit higher, but I would definitely have a 1% risk at around 341. I mean, if you start getting under here, then you're no longer bullish, right? So for me to see Tesla hold support, yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to take it. I would rather see that reversal formation print, that Morningstar reversal formation, let that print, let that close up in here, and then look for support tests on Tesla. All right. But yeah, don't look at it in terms of right and wrong. Look at it in terms of, I'm trying to make money doing this. I'm sick of buying cryptos on crypto exchanges. I want to make withdrawals, right? That's the difference between me and you. I make withdrawals. Most people that listen to me are still buying. We do have some profitable traders that have turned it around in the community. So it's not everybody. It's just the newer folks that are still struggling a little bit. Once you realize that over trading, revenge trading, things like that is the reason why most people are unsuccessful at trading. And also because they think they know what the market's going to do. That is why people lose money in the market. Once you realize that you don't know what price is ever going to do and you learn how to manage your risk, you will make money. I mean, especially if you're trading more than 3 to 4 times a week, eventually you will nail a good trade. And if you nail a good trade, it can soak up a lot of those losses. I mean, it's just about being in the right opportunity at the right time is what it equates to. Kind of luck, if you will. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of luck involved. What about the Dow Jones, the US 30? Yeah, I have that. We can take a check at it. Right, here's your US 30 on the Dow. Yeah, it looks like it's at a resistance level here. Where is the yearly open? Yearly open just above, and we did get above the yearly open on the S&P. Daily resistance is going to come in a little bit lower than the yearly resistance or the yearly open. But here's the thing. I mean, you're making higher lows down here, not lower. This was a lower low, to be fair, right? It was a lower low than the previous day, but it's still higher than this low. So this isn't even going to be, yeah, that's going to be last week's low. So I always love it when an asset goes almost down to last week's low and turns around. Because if it does not liquidate, then that means it's going to be a higher low. Higher lows is what bulls want to see. Now, US 30 is a little bit different than the S&P as the way that it is managed and how it trades. That's why I don't trade it. But it does look like it is trying to break out to the upside here. All right. As of right now, you have not closed any weeks back above the yearly opening range yet. See how you have closed weeks back above the yearly opening range on the NASDAQ? Well, that's because people are putting money back into risk. Tech. Apple is still struggling a little bit, but Apple's got news. Here's Microsoft, dude. Like, we're just a few percentage points away from making fresh all-time highs on Microsoft. Nvidia, just a few points away from making fresh all-time highs on Nvidia. Amazon, about midpoint of the bear market range. I expect it to go higher. Google, same thing. I expect it will probably also eventually find support, start to move up higher. We've already made fresh all-time highs on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most risky asset class out there. So if you are making fresh all-time highs on something like Bitcoin, then you have to assume that eventually other risk assets will follow suit. Gold breaking down huge. So it would have been a lot better of a trade to hold that. But clearly, I don't know what it's going to do. So I took profits off of that trade. Over here on my profile, I will show you where my gold target was, 33.31. And that's just coming off of that other 4-hour high there. So that's what it's going to be, this swing high right here. Right there. That was my target. But I would just target the midpoint. Yesterday's midpoint, which that'll be really close to that. Really close to that. Now, here's the thing. If this is going to be a trap, you have not missed the opportunity on gold. Please do not rush in and sell gold right this second. Wait for another opportunity on there. Like, if you look intraday here on gold, there was a clear and obvious line in the sand. Right? Here's a high 30-minute close in reference to the previous high bullish close. Well, it's not a high close, but it's a bullish close. This close is higher than that close, right? But then you closed back under the open. So now this candle is going to act as resistance moving forward. Notice what it did right there. Resistance. And then that sets this candle as potential resistance moving on. So if you're not closing any 30-minute candles back above 33.61, then you have to be short, because order flow on an intraday basis is clearly moving in one direction, down. That is why I took the short on gold. All right. But that does not mean it will stay that way, because a midpoint place, or the midpoint of yesterday, is where a lot of buyers are going to probably kick back up. Because they're looking at this as a legit breakout. And it is a legit breakout. Momentum is behind it, as well as the 21 exponential. But this is a legit buy signal. So you got to be very careful trying to short an asset that has this much bullish momentum. I expect it to come back down and test the bottom edge of this range. Longer term. But if it doesn't, then I am wrong. Then I will delete this channel and move on. You know what I mean? I never try to let my biases affect trading decisions. I want to let price make my trading decisions for me. I don't want my bias to reflect any kind of a decision making. None. Because sometimes I have a bullish bias, but the trade is clearly and obviously a short. Let me see here. Someone's alerted me. Oh, okay. Okay, nothing important up there. The reason I have to look at that is because my microphone might be muted. I have a bad habit of not paying attention to stuff. If you have time, ASM, Assemble AI. Yeah, I have time. I've closed the trade on gold. We're still holding an open short position on Bitcoin and an open long position on BOEM. They're small positions, but it is what it is. I did not go into the week profitably last week, and that's one thing that I hate the most is going into the week red. And I did, because I tried to buy it 2 times last week, and both times I got stopped out. ASM is sideways. It looks okay. We get a longer term aspect on it. I mean, you had a bad year this year, but one could arguably say that this was just a pullback. It pulled back to the midpoint of this yearly range, a little bit lower, but that is where it found support. Okay, so you definitely want to see March's high get taken out at some point if you are bullish. Looks like April's lows is the same with everything right now. The risks lows is in April as well. The S&P and everything else had that pullback. April set the lows on Bitcoin. April set the lows on a lot of things. So, I mean, if this is going to trade up with risk, then I don't see any reason. I mean, it's been a slow mover up to this point. It's not really a slow mover as it moves quite a bit. Your prices are huge over here. Like this range is bigger than $100. So depending on your position size will obviously determine the amount of pain you are experiencing depending on where you're long from. It looks okay. It looks like it's consolidating under that March high, which is what we want to see for an asset to be bullish. But I typically like to see support formed above a support. Okay, and you do have it right here. So there is going to be May's close. We just closed May though. Literally just closed it on Friday. So I'd want to see this kind of consolidation happen above 479 for me to get bullish, to potentially look for a June expansion higher, right? If we're going to see more upside price on ASM in June, then we definitely want to see June, or at least June's, or at least the close of April hold, or May, sorry, because June opened down here. So you are above June's open and above May's close. So that does look okay. Looks good. A little bit of resistance up there. So moving forward, I would just want to see consolidation occur above 479. As long as that happens, then I like it. I like it. Not really sure what it is, but I mean, you said it had something to do with AI. And AI is a hot ticket item right now. Greetings, says V Billions. Please kindly explain how to use session volume profile. Session volume profile is simple. It just basically is an indicator. You get it in indicators. Click on your indicators icon. Click on technicals over here on the left side of the menu. And then over here on profiles on the right side of the menu, click profiles, and then it's down here, session volume profile. Your session volume profile shows you where the majority of where all of the volume trades at the price, not the time. A lot of people use volume by time. Volume by time is this down here. I do not find any use for that. I do not care that there was a lot of volume in a month that has passed. How is that going to help me make any future decisions when it comes to trading? Oh, there was a lot of volume here on Wednesday, May the 21st. Okay, and how's that going to help me? So I like to see where volume is trading at which price. And I like to see that on a per day basis. So this SVP is session volume profile. When you get the tool, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to uncheck values because the numbers do not matter. Uncheck that. And then make your histogram box a little bit lighter because it comes in pretty dark. And if it's dark, you can't see inside of it. So I push it down to where it's light. So that way I can see the candlestick, but still see the daily range. So that way when you go into an intraday time frame like this, you can see each and every day, the whole day and nothing but the day. You can see the day's low, that's the bottom of the box. You can see the day's high, that's the top of the box. And you can see where the majority of the volume traded for that day. That will help you going into the next day, especially if you're trading above it. So like say on this area, if price started to trade down, I would be okay with buying this as a potential pullback, depending on what time it is. I'm not buying it at 2 o'clock in the middle of the day, but if this was happening around the New York session, then yeah, I could potentially be a buyer because price was trading above yesterday's volume point of control. And if the buyers are going to support price, then I would want to see them come in pretty close to this area. But that's not always the case. So on this day right here, when price was trading back up into this area of resistance here, the weekly open, you can also see that there was a significant amount of volume traded at or around that price on Sunday. That's a significant volume spike. It's more significant than the rest of the volume that day. So there's potentially leftover trades here that did not get filled. So we use this to help guide us. So if we did get into a long position down here, we know we probably want to take profits when we get up to and around 105 because this could act as potential resistance. It doesn't always do that, but it could. So if seeing this candle here break out and close above the weekly open, the very next candle told you the real story, right? It opened and then closed back under the previous candle's open. So then you can look at this data with this data like so. This data, and be like, well, this is probably a legit rejection. So I might want to short any retests of the weekly open if you get one, which we know now in hindsight you did not get one. But that's where I would have looked to put on a short position after seeing a rejection like this, based on this point of control and this current point of control. I would have wanted to be a short because for the last 2 days, this current day and the previous day, the majority of the volume traded up at the highs of day. That's usually not bullish, right? Usually not bullish. So with this moving on into the future data, I would be putting a short up here, maybe at the 30-minute resistance. But like I said, based on hindsight data, we know that it never came back. So I would have just missed that trade. But that's one way to use your volume profile. Now, there are other things. Each one of these little things here are called volume nodes. These spikes, like this is a huge volume spike. That's called a volume node. This is your point of control. The red line is always where the majority or the most of the volume has traded for that day. This line does move up and down throughout the day, because trades are being taken every second of every day. So this will migrate up and down. As price migrates up and down, this line will also migrate up and down. But the shaded in nodes down here is called the value area low. And then the shaded in nodes up here is called the value area high. So in a sense, basically what we know by looking at the volume profile at this point in time for this day would have been, well, price is basically rejecting away from the value area low and the value area high. It's basically trading inside of the value area. Some people will take shorts based on value area highs, and some people will take longs based on value area lows. I do not. I use objective price points, like a weekly close or a weekly open or something like that. And then I try to, if I can get my point of control or a value area high or value area low in and around the area that I'm already looking for my trade, that just gives me a little bit more confirmation. It's not a solid confirmation because it doesn't always work. The blue signifies bids, the yellow signifies asks. This is a zero-sum game, but still some bars will have more bids in than asks. It's just the way it works. And some will have more asks than bids. That does not mean you should sell this volume node because there was more sellers there. Doesn't mean that at all. All you need to worry about when it comes to the session volume profile, in my opinion, if you are a learning trader, is use it to show you where the current daily high is, the current daily low, and the current day's open. Right there. Boom. That's your daily open, daily high, daily low, and where has the most volume traded. So like if you were to take a trade, say price continues to migrate up here, and the volume point of control stays down here. Are you going to buy it up here? No, because you're extended on the daily range. The move has happened without you. So that means you can wait till tomorrow before you try to put on risk way up here, right? That would be a good way to use the volume profile. Okay. Hopefully that helps. And if you can timestamp that in the comments, that would be great for anybody else that needs that information. In my opinion, that's really the only pertinent information that you need for that indicator. It is just another indicator. And if you try to use your volume, your session volume profile on like say a Forex pair and exchange that you're looking on, that Forex pair is Forex.com, you will not get this because Forex.com does not publicly release their numbers. Their volume, it is proprietary. They don't want anybody knowing how much volume they have because they are in competition with other companies like Oanda and other Forex companies. So not all exchanges produce their volumes. If they do, you will get your point of control. If they don't, you will not. So I can show you that simply by going over here to Aussie dollar or Aussie Swiss, sorry. This is Forex.com. You can see that right here. No volume. Even if you try to pull up volume by time, you will not get it. They do not produce volume publicly. It is not a law. They do not have to. Most places do, but really and truly volume isn't going to help you, in my opinion. It could help you, but just play around with it. Make sure you do your own due diligence with it, forward testing it, back testing it, whatever. But that's the way I use it. Essentially, I want to see the majority of the volume is still traded here. Now it is 10:05 Eastern Standard Time. We still have not started to break out to the upside here on Bitcoin. What's with that? What gives? Right? So if it doesn't hold support here this time, then I could start to say to myself, hey, this might be going to break down, right? Did we hit our gold target? Wait a minute. What happened? Where is my gold target? Oh, I put it on. Okay, I see what I did wrong. Okay, I see what I did. I got to go over to Oanda. Oh, I have to go. Well, right here's that 4-hour high, right? Yeah, right there. So it basically went down to my target, but I had already exited. So at this point, I would not be looking for any further downside on gold. This is your move. This is the move that we were trying to get. This is the move that we got. So that one's done. Wipe your hands with it, throw it away. If you want to look for gold shorts later, like I said, we need to see this midpoint taken out. You have to close today's range under the midpoint. Would it be better if it closed as a bearish engulfing? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Because not only would that be telling me, yeah, Heath, you were right. This was a trap like you thought it was, and it's confirmed almost at that point. Right? Basically, all this was setting a higher weekly high. It was liquidating the past 2 weeks of price action, and that's it. That's it. That's all it was doing. Right there is that swing high. It got well above it. Let's be clear. Well above it. But still, it's under it now. So that's what we were looking for. And the point of control was basically telling us that there was a lot of volume trading at this area, and the fact that we were making lower 30-minute closes in reference to this candle and this candle. Not these two. Back here. Right? Because remember, this candle's open got taken out by this candle and this candle's close. So this is the candle that you need to watch for resistance. Not this one or this one. It's got to be this one. And plus the high week closes up here. So boom, perfect. And we had a lot of volume trading here. A lot of people were buying this. And that's what we need for this to go lower, is those buyers to get stopped out. That's what will force price lower. Depending on how many buyers there are, will determine how big this move ends up being. But since Bitcoin is struggling to get any kind of bullish momentum right now, it tells me that gold might find support. So we got a little bit more time here on Bitcoin. You're still trading in the 930 candle. The 930 candle is your open of the New York session open. So as long as you're trading inside that candle's high and low, it still could ultimately end up being bullish today. Right? Okay, so this is the lowest close. Obviously, this close is lower, but we took that out. Right? You can watch it if you want to. But this one right here is going to be relatively important. This one will be really important. We need to see how this closes. We got 20 minutes on this close. If you're looking for bullish entries on Bitcoin, you can get long down here, because you're getting long roughly at around yesterday's midpoint. Does that mean you're going to make money? No, it doesn't. Like I said, I can never see into the future. So I cannot tell you if from this point on Bitcoin will move up or down. I can't. It's impossible. But you can mitigate your risk, right? You can set a buy limit at 104.9 and set a stop loss at around 104.2, but just make sure your profit target would have to be, 1,400 points to the upside? It'd be kind of a wide stop loss. So I wouldn't like a trade like that right here, not just based off of yesterday's midpoint. The monthly VWAP, though, is coming in around yesterday's midpoint as well. But order flow today is more important than what happened yesterday. Order flow today is a little bit weak. But if they are unable to take out this low, then I would say we're probably going to see a move higher. Yesterday was so aggravating because this is your 930. This is your open yesterday. Same time we are right now. You can see what price did. It was so freaking choppy, dude. We took out the low of that 930 low and then got bullish and closed way back up here. And then here's 1030, 11, 1130, 12. Like, come 12 o'clock, my butt starts to hurt from sitting in this chair. I'm getting out of the office. If I haven't made money by then, I'm probably not going to make money. Yesterday I was in Boom and I was long basically all day. I got long down around this VWAP, right in this area. Got a clear and obvious intraday support coming in here. Notice how these candles are all closing above that little area. Well, that's the area that I like along, anywhere in here. So when we traded down into it, I don't remember exactly what time it was, probably this candle here, I took a long. And then after sitting in it for 2.5, almost 3 hours, and it didn't do anything, I was like, nah, screw this. I'm done. I shut it down. Yesterday evening, I got stopped out right here. This thing came down, it stopped me out, and then instantly took off without me. Talk about being pissed. I don't care how long you trade, how much money you make trading, this will always upset you. Always. It will always do it. You just can't let it bother you too much. You know what I mean? You don't want to then turn around and start trying to chase these candles up, because you just don't do that. You just take the hit and be like, laugh about it and wait till the next day. I'll get you tomorrow. There's always an opportunity. Right now, BOEM is, even though this is the open of the day, like I said, book of meme, this is an absolute garbage token. At any point, this thing could hit zero. I mean, it's almost zero. It's less than a penny, right? So it is absolute garbage. I wouldn't buy this to own it, you know what I mean? But I will trade it. Right now, here's the open. Price is just right here. That's 1.85%. That's a 1.85% move. This thing cooks. Like, you can be in this and literally be in profit in 2 ticks, and in 8 ticks get out because it moves. But, you know, that can cut both ways, especially when using leverage. Because if it's against you, it will hurt really bad, really quickly. But I like things that move quickly. And that's movement. Bitcoin hasn't really been moving. Right now, Bitcoin's up 0.62%. So, I mean, down 0.62%. It opened right here yesterday, and it's down on the day currently. And it's down 0.5%. That's not, it's not a lot of movement. There's a lot of points in there, but I try to use low leverage because I try to keep my fees down. And low leverage, if you're not moving a lot, you're not, then it's not going to do a lot. You see what I'm saying? It's like, so I would rather get into BOEM and get a % move out of it instead of messing with Bitcoin right now while it's not doing much. And Bitcoin hasn't been doing much for the last 4 days. Now, in as far as points go, it has been moving. 103,008 up to 105.8. That's a 2,000 point move. So if you were lucky enough to catch the majority of that, a 1,500 point say, then you could have made a decent little move yesterday on Bitcoin. Or not yesterday, but Sunday. Yesterday was bigger than Sunday. But when it was down here, it didn't seem like it. It was literally not doing anything. It's kind of literally not doing anything today either. Let me go see what yen is doing. Yen is moving lower. It has expanded much lower. Here you go. I'll put you over there so you can see it. Much lower. Right there it is. Much lower. So yeah. If Bitcoin is trading like yen futures, then we would expect it to go a little bit lower. As of right now, you still have not closed the 30-minute candle above that 105,520. Kind of important, especially since the point of control is just below the resistance. Now, this could be support building, obviously. I don't know that it's going to drop. But if support doesn't hold, then you're probably going to see an expansion lower to at least set a fresh low of day. We get that a lot on Bitcoin. Let's see what we got over here on this. So it does look like more liquidity is building up just under here. but you still have quite a bit of liquidity to the upside to go get as well. I mean, just using liquidity as a guidepost, it does look like price would want to go lower and grab this. Then you have a big chunk, right, is slightly thin. So maybe we come down here, take this out, and then head back up. I don't know. I don't know what it will do, but we'll see. Time will tell. Either way, it's very, very tradable. But to save fees, boom, it's cheaper to trade it, and it moves much quicker. What are my thoughts about DeFi? I don't know anything about DeFi. I'm sorry. There are some decentralized features like Hyperliquid or GMX. Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing about BOEM as well. I don't know if it's a DeFi or what it is. I don't care. It moves a lot. But you can see, that's the reason I like it. That's the reason I've been trading it for 5 days, 6 days now? Just because it moves a lot. You can see how illiquid it is because this candle closed and then the next candle 1 second later opened up there. That's a gap. I don't like gappy price action on an intraday basis. If you look at these on a 5-minute time frame, same thing. It's like gappy. Look at this. Boop. All the way up there. That's disgusting. That means if you have a stop loss right here, it won't fill till up here. Now, I know that's not a lot, but I don't like getting filled above my stop. I always want to get filled at my stop. But a market stop loss will fill you where it opens, up there, not here. So if this sets a 1% loss for you, then opening up here and filling you up there literally means you lost more than 1%. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to track your risk. So it is an illiquid asset. Another thing I have had trouble with is filling on a big position size. Like going in with a normal size position and only getting filled on half. I don't like that. I do not like that either because I've already got the math calculated as to what I'm going to pay in fees and everything else when I take the trade. So when I don't get filled with a full size position, it throws everything off. Now, if I do get filled with a half size position, that does mean I can double up my stop and still only lose the same amount. But still, I need it to go much further in order to make back that specific percentage that I was looking for. So for instance, if I'm looking for, say, 10 million BOEMs, right? And I only get filled with 5 million of them, but I was looking for a 1.2% move. Now I need to look for a 2.4% move to basically get that same risk to reward that I initially entered the trade with. I don't like that. I hate that. So it will be spotty on limit fills. I have been filled with every dime on markets, but your market orders are going to fill you terrible on this. The fill will be above price. If you're buying it, it will always fill you above price. If you're selling it, it will always fill you below price on market because it's illiquid. And with Bitcoin on weeks, you can jump in with $1 million position size. You're getting filled with all of it at the price because Bitcoin is liquid. This isn't. And the unfortunate thing about illiquid shitcoins is, like I said, if the guy that owns this thing decides to sell, 60% of the supply, this thing is going down hard, quick. You know what I mean? And that's always a possibility with crypto. Always. So Bitcoin has found support. See that? Could not close under. See how important it is to kind of wait on those closures? So this is good. As long as this candle doesn't close back down here, I would say the odds are good that Bitcoin goes up and tests 106 again. Will it? I don't know, but the odds are better that it would. Waiting on closures. This is the weekly open, so as long as we're above that, I like Bitcoin higher. Below the weekly open, this is a crucial area, because whoever wins out today, whether it's the bulls or the bears, today's Tuesday, whoever wins today's range will probably win the rest of the week. That's just the way I look at it. It doesn't always work out like that. Clearly, you can have a really bad news day on a Thursday and then give back everything that you made up all week. I'm just saying, probabilities wise. If the bulls win here, this will be better for Bitcoin moving forward, because a lot of traders will not enter a bullish position on a bearish week. That's why usually stocks go higher, because people buy higher. People love being higher buyers. It has a lot to do with momentum, right? You don't ever want to buy something that has a lot of bearish momentum, because you're going to try to buy it and you're likely going to get stopped out because momentum is bearish. Momentum is crucial when you're talking about when it comes to price. Momentum is crucial. When you get to looking at crypto charts, can you look at Tau? Well, I don't really look at crypto charts unless I'm trading it. But, I mean, if you want me to look at it, I will. Absolutely. I have no problem with that. But, I'm not about to whip out my crypto watch list. That's not how I roll. I mainly trade futures and Forex and Bitcoin. That's where my bread and butter is made. Forex, futures, Bitcoin. And I'm trading Bitcoin futures as well, just not on CME. But I use CME to trade ES and gold and oil, those things. So Tau. All right, let's take a look at it here quickly. Once again, I don't know what this is. Brandon is a better guy when it comes to knowing what each individual shitcoin is and what its purpose is, what it was made for. I don't care about that. All I care about is price and if it's liquid. And I don't even care about that anymore, I guess, because I'm trading BOEM. And it is not liquid. BOEM moves a lot. If it moves a lot, I will trade it, because I'm looking to trade momentum. I'm a momentum trader. When momentum is on my side, I make money. So it looks like it's giving back all of this bounce. Momentum is not on your side right now. So this is not looking good. I mean, you're in the process. The bears are smacking this down, turning it into almost like a bull trap, if you will. They haven't yet. Today's close will be important for Tau, because this bullish expansion candle here, the midpoint, is going to be important. It's going to be important. If you lose the midpoint, then you're coming down here and retesting this support zone at 375 on a daily closing basis. Let's look at it on a week. On a week, yeah, it looks like, could it hold here? Absolutely it could. You've also got that daily midpoint in there. Could one buy this? Maybe. If Bitcoin gets really bullish today and stays bullish, maybe it has a bullish effect on Tau. Right? Because Bitcoin is still barely down on the day. Barely, but it's going in the right direction. So yeah, it doesn't look terrible. It looks like you're trading, you're still an inside month, you're trading inside last month's range, so it's an inside month, but you're retesting April's high, which is also a potential area of support. So if it can hold here and start to move higher, I like it. I don't see why it wouldn't go right back up to at least June's open of 431. So there is a potential scalpable range in this. Your entry would be 391. You would be targeting 431. It's not a very big range, but it's what you have currently. It does look like the bears are winning. So today's close is going to be vital for this. If it holds today, then I could potentially say, yeah, look for a retest of 430. All right. Let's see. Does the week still have bullish momentum? No, it does not. So you've lost momentum on the weekly. That is the reason probably why. I mean, this was the first week that you even registered. This thing is so new on Coinbase. This is the first week you even registered an RSI print. So the fact that you did register that print, it goes to explain why people shorted after the week opened and you got a retest of old support there. Here's your weekly support. See how this wick goes up to that and then rejects. So in a sense, that's all people did. Right there. You opened Sunday night, you traded up, and then the sellers jumped on it. And then that traded all day, closed lower. That was when you got your daily is now in bearish momentum. Now, this can be a trap. I'm not saying that it can't go up from here. I'm just saying that as of right now, I see why sellers are selling it. I would be too, probably, looking to sell resistance as it's already failed and you've gotten 1, 2 daily closes under your 21 exponential and you're seeing downside continuation. So it would be a hard buy for me right now. Even though that midpoint is there and even though everything that I said about it potentially finding support here, my bias would still be more bearish on the near term than bullish based on just that data. Now, if you know something about the company itself, like they're getting ready to drop this new cool thing and it's going to be the shit in the future, then maybe you can buy it. But just looking at price and technicals, I wouldn't be doing anything with it today, but tomorrow I would more or less be a seller. As long as today's high, as long as price can't trade much time above yet, like whatever today's high is. So like going into tomorrow's price action, if you got a wick above and then a drop back under 405, I would probably be more bearish, but I would only be targeting 390 for a scalp. But that's where my order flow would go. I'd say there's probably a lot of people that are thinking about the same way based on the technicals. But I don't know anything else about it. Like, I don't know what they make, if it's good or any of that, unfortunately. Nat Gas, Altcoin. Oh. Yeah. I can look up Altcoin. I was literally going to pull up the Nat Gas chart. It's like full on Altcoin USD, right? My goodness, man. The names, I love them. I guess we'll look at it on Binance. Ooh, maybe it ain't Altcoin USD. MEXC is a much better chart. It's bullish on the year, which is important for long-term biases, not near-term biases. The fact that you gave all of that back, though, not great. Like generally, when you see your yearly range, you want to see price either above or below the midpoint of the range. So this candle's midpoint would be here, right? Way up here. So on a technical basis, you would not want to see it lose that. You would want support to hold there to prove that there's demand for this asset. And if you don't have demand for the asset, then you don't really have nothing else. And look how it traded. Think I'm wrong. Look at this. Check, midpoint check, midpoint check. Liquidation. Next day, another liquidation. And then sayonara. That's the end of it. And then there would have been your short opportunity right there. On this up close day. Trade up to the 50, retest. Next day, you got a 50 retest. Even that day, you got a 50 retest. So any one of these days, you could have taken the short. And why would you have taken the short? Well, because you lost the midpoint of the bullish range. Now, I wouldn't be shorting it now because you came back to target almost. And a lot of times, people are going to buy these yearly open tests. They tried to sell it here, and it failed. Put in a nice little bear trap right there, and boom. Notice where your RSI was. You were above the 50 here. Bear trap. You never really want to look to be a seller while the bulls have the momentum, ever. If it's in an uptrend, buy. You want to be a buyer at support. Now look where you are. So on an objective level, you're still bullish on the year for Fartcoin. You're still very bullish on the year for Fartcoin. Not very bullish, but still up on the year. If you bought it like on the day that it opened, on the year, like Jan 1 at midnight, then you're still up. But you're not up as much as you were. So, and on the near term at least, the bears are in control of momentum on the daily only. So this one's not as cut and dry. You're above the yearly open, and on the weekly, the bulls are still in control of momentum. But on the near term, the daily, the bears have taken over. This right here is going to be looked at as a bounce until Bitcoin starts to rip or whatever. Now, if Bitcoin starts to rip, then the buyers might come back into the almighty Fartcoin. Because Fartcoin, I mean, everybody farts, right? So, a lot of demand for farts. I don't know why people would buy this. It's a meme. It looks good, though. I mean, as far as liquidity, I'm not seeing terrible gaps. Let's see what intraday price action looks like. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what's going on? This thing's doing this. There we go. There we go. All right. Fartcoin intraday liquidity looks good. Liquidity looks good on Fartcoin. There's a gap right here. But other than that, liquidity looks pretty solid. A lot of people trading the Fartcoin. Last 3 days looks good. Big breakout day here. You had an inside day here. Another breakout trending day. So it does look good. On the very near term, like intraday, the bulls got it, but the daily, not so good. Daily, not so good. How far away are you from the 21? Because the 21 is probably where the sellers are going to show back up. So the line in the sand for Fartcoin going forward would, in my opinion, be around the 124 spot. If it can get above that and stay above it for a couple of days, then yeah, I could say that you're probably going back up a little bit. But if you fail there, I would say that the bears on the daily have it still. Can't imagine anybody would want to short Fartcoin. It's such a good token. I'm kidding. I have no idea what's going on with that. Can you check GDX, J, and GLD? Well, if we're bearish on gold, we're going to be bearish on GLD because GLD is an ETF that tracks the price of gold. So if gold is bearish today, then this is also. What is gold doing right now? So gold has had a pretty significant bounce. I don't know what this is, but let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of the session volume profile too. Yeah, I mean, this chart, in my opinion, is exactly. I would just rather look at the spot gold futures chart because you can just see it better. Today, wherever this thing closes today is going to be important for gold moving on. So if gold is able to hold the midpoint of yesterday's big bullish breakout move, then gold's probably going higher. And if gold's going higher, then GLD will go higher. Now, GDXJ, I don't know what that is. I've never traded it. So it's a gold miner ETF. The miners typically do good when gold is doing good, right? So it's another one of those. It just depends on what gold does. This looks way better than gold. This is making fresh all-time highs right now. Yeah, I couldn't be bearish on this. You just got a fresh weak breakout on highs. It would be very hard for me to be bearish this. Like I said, the technicals say do not be bearish gold. Don't get me wrong. Me taking a short on gold today was just that. It was just for today. Like ultimately, I think gold's going to roll over, but that's just because of inflation is going lower and I'm not seeing any recessionary fears. So I'm just saying, I think maybe people will rotate that capital out of gold. I think we have been seeing that, right? We know that Bitcoin rolled over and at the beginning of this year, and gold took off at the beginning of the year. So you could clearly see the people that sold Bitcoin rotated that capital into gold. And there you go. Now that Bitcoin's back at all-time highs, maybe that will help influence other people to say, well, I made quite a bit of money on gold this year, so I'm going to at least take those profits out, maybe leave a small piece on for any upside continuation, and roll some of those profits into Bitcoin and see, because Bitcoin moves more than gold. Sometimes. Not all the time. But most of the time. I guess it just depends on what you're trading. If you're trading futures, gold futures, then no. But yeah, I mean, that's just an assumption on my part. It doesn't mean that's what will happen. The technicals on gold are still extremely bullish. And if we just look at the intraday price action on gold, you can see people coming in there to buy up that midpoint. So it's going to be the 0.5 level on this intraday. Right here is yesterday's mid. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why that was my target. Because I expected this. But if today is going to finish off the day bearish, like if Bitcoin's going to continue to run higher today and gold is going to roll over, then gold might be an opportunity. It's not going to be an opportunity here because we can't even get a VWAP on this. It will not even give you a VWAP because the VWAP is the volume weighted average price. It won't give it to you. It's like, fail. You got to go over on Oanda or another exchange that will allow you. So as long as price stays under this, then I would say on the intraday basis, it's got a little bit more of a downside lean to it. It looks a little more heavy, if you will. That's all we're ever looking to do. We're trying to get on the same side of the markets for the scalps. But yeah, I mean, as long as gold does good, your GDX and GLD should do okay. This is going to be the line in the sand for the XAU. It's going to be the line in the sand today. This was a big breakout, and I don't know why it was such a big breakout. I mean, the only thing that happened over the weekend was the Russia lost like what 40 something planes because, well, they got drone bombed. That's like the only thing that I can see that happened over the weekend that would like cause gold to go up. There wasn't no significant tariff news or anything like that. And we also got a pop in oil the same day. See here? And oil is also, people will like run to oil whenever they fear something like that. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what caused it or not, right? I have no clue. That's just me speculating. But that's all I'm doing anyway. I'm a speculator in the markets. Bitcoin's looking good. Bohm is up 3.5%. So Mr. Boehmer looking pretty good there. I like it. I wonder if it can hold. When you start doing stuff like this, I don't really care for that because it's almost as if though you're putting in a double top. What is this? It's clearly a monthly range. Last month's range. See, I don't like last month's price action on this. I did tell people to buy Bohm the other day. Or I told people that I was buying Bohm over the weekend. Right here. Looking for this to bounce. Get off. I don't care. I'm not promoting, dude. Look for this to bounce back up to March's open. So here's the chart. This is what it looked like when I made the post. Look for a retest of the March open. Once again, it's a midpoint on that breakdown day. So from here to here, not bad. We look at the daily time frame on this, and it looks like this. So literally this day was red when I said I'm looking to be a buyer. And right here's March's open. So we did get that. Saturday, Sunday. Boop. Anything extra is just icing on the cake. Just icing on the cake. Does anybody have anything else? As we're going into the later session, Bitcoin breaking out to the moon. Let's go. I'm just kidding. It just ran off my screen up top. Old high week close. So this is where we rejected yesterday. So are we going to set a double top on Bitcoin here at the old high week close? No, we're going to short gold again. Let's see if this thing can roll over a little bit more now that we got a little bit of money to play with. We're not testing the VWAP, so this going short might be a little premature, actually. Especially while Bitcoin's into this resistance here. So let me go ahead and close that one out before anything goes crazy. Let's see if we can get a VWAP test on gold. I think that would be a better entry. There's no real resistance here, and the VWAP test is going to be way over up here. Right? 3378-ish. But we could take it if we got to pop up to 33.78 or 33.78 or 77. We'll see if it can get up there. If it rolls back over, I'm definitely going to like Bitcoin to not make a double top and to probably keep going. Because remember, that daily 21, guys, that daily 21 is big. You got algos that are programmed to buy retests of that. Now, whether or not it gets upside continuation from here, that's different. But it definitely is like the last significant level to get through resistance-wise. I don't see anything else. Nothing to stop it once it gets above this. If it can get above that, you almost got a free run back up to and around 109. I say almost because obviously the midpoint of this candle can act as resistance, which would put you right smack almost in the middle at 107. I'm not saying that you will have a free ride up to there. I'm saying there's not real significant resistance until you get up to the 107 spot. Little bit of wicks on the daily coming in here, but I think right in there, 107 to 108 would be where the significant resistance would come back. That is if it doesn't roll over right here where it is. That's a good looking hourly candle. So we'll wrap it up here in a minute since nobody else has any other questions. But what's important moving on here is you need to watch what price does from here. So if price is honestly bullish, which I think it is, here's your VWAP for today. So you're above volume weighted average price. You also know that your point of control is right around this area. That's another kind of confirmation. Well, it's a little lower now. So you got that. So basically, would I short this? No, not now. The short was here. If it was going to roll over, I would have done so here. Like, just look at gold one more time. Here's the VWAP on gold. This is a 5-minute chart. If I put it on the 30-minute chart or the hourly chart, let's do that. Well, I'll go back over here while we wait for that to do its thing. But yeah, if this is going, so the midpoint of this candle will be important now. So like if you close this hourly, there's 10 minutes left. If you close this hourly up in this area anywhere, then the next hour, what you're going to be looking for is something like this. You're going to look for an open and a bearish candle to do that and stop. So if this is what price looks like in the next hour, here, let's make it look professional. If this is what price is going to look like in the next hour, let's say it closes where it is currently. And then at 12 o'clock, you have a chart that looks like this. Is that a short? No, it is not. It is not. Because the next candle is probably going to look like this. Right? That doesn't mean it will, clearly, but you can get sideways chop again. But we had a lot of sideways chop yesterday and today. So I would actually look for this, if it is going to make a run higher, I would actually start to look for this thing to start putting in some pretty good sized bullish candles any minute now. These small range days are probably done. Bohm isn't getting that yet, but it might. But yeah, I don't know. We're getting ready to make a fresh high of day. Okay, back over here to the 30-minute on gold. Here, there's your VWAP. Notice your 30-minute closures. Not really. I mean, you do, to be fair, you do get a bullish 30-minute close right here, just above the VWAP. But that's not strong. That's not a strong close. Looks like resistance. And then, boom. See, then you got a lower low right here. And then look where it closed. It closed lower than the midpoint of this candle. So the chances are gold's probably going to have downside continuation. So Bitcoin ain't short. Not today. Maybe. Do you cover Forex? Yeah. The Forex pairs that we were watching were pound CAD going into the week. So I do a members only live stream every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Sunday I did it at 10, but I do one every weekend unless something comes up. But out of the last however many years I've been doing this YouTube thing, I've only missed like 3 or 4. So almost every Sunday I do a live stream. We were looking at this Friday's candle on pound CAD, and we were looking for downside continuation. As long as we don't start closing multiple days back above the 21 exponential and above the 50 here. So right now, the Q2 open is like the level we were watching and we were looking for shorts at. I did not take the short because once we close back above, even though this candle's still intact to the downside, this threatening upside, this one close right here, if it would have closed back under, then yeah, any retest of this would have been a short signal, in my opinion. But when you close above it, it gets a little bit more tricky. Especially with Forex, because Forex loves to jack people around. Like, absolutely loves it. So this one is the one we're watching for more downside continuation. But it's bullish on the weekly. I don't remember why I guess it was just based on Friday's candle. And then we were also looking for bullish entries on Euro USD. This is Friday. So we didn't have this candle or this candle. I told people to watch for a retest of 1.13277 for bullish entries. We never got that. Sunday, that very night, because the market opens on, for me, Sunday night. So if I do the live stream at 11 a.m., at 5 p.m. when the market opens, I was looking for a retest of this and didn't get it. So it just opened and went. So that was also a missed trade. But in my opinion, as long as the yearly opening range for 2022 stays intact and you're not, like today doesn't close back under it, I think the Euro USD could still be a long. You're bullish on the year. The bulls have momentum on the daily, on the weekly. Like, this thing has been trending all year. I bought it here. I sold it up here. So I am looking to get back in it, but not for a long-term hold, just more or less up at these prices, scalps. Because that was a very extensive move. We have a longer-term bearish dollar-based bias based on the Fed and them cutting interest rates. The Federal Reserve, wait a minute, I don't have that pulled up. The Federal Reserve is pricing in an interest rate cut in September. It's a higher probability now. It's like a 57% probability. Let's go get it. Nope, I want the Fed watch. So your probability for a rate cut is going to be September. 54%. So it did go down just a bit, but it's still the higher probability at this point for a 25 basis point cut. That's typically bearish on the dollar. So that's why, as long as we're in a Fed rate cutting regime, we want to have a bearish dollar bias. That's why we bought it euro down here, because the Fed told us they were going to start cutting interest rates, and then they did start cutting interest rates. Boom. Right? The Fed is going to continue to cut interest rates. As long as that is the case, until the Fed comes out and says, no, we are not. We're actually looking at hiking interest rates, then we will become bullish on the dollar, bearish the euro. But while the Fed is in the rate cutting regime, we must have a bullish euro bias based on the dollar. So this one is still a potential long scalp as long as you do not close today under 1.13757. And then our last one that we were watching was CAD Swiss, and CAD Swiss has stopped everybody out. So the level that we were watching was daily res right here. We did get the daily close under, so the retest today would have been stopped out. So today, this trade did not work. It did work yesterday, so if anybody took it yesterday, they're probably getting stopped out today. But if anybody took it based on my signals, they took profits down here, for sure. Because I always maintain that every time. You take a trade and it goes in your direction, you take profits. You took the risk, so pay yourself. That way, if you get continuation in your direction, then eventually this position, then it will make more money than you already made. So it's a win-win. It's just a way to manage losses. To take the wins when you get them and manage those losses. But this today would have been a stopped out. We wouldn't have taken it in the Discord. Like, I didn't even post anything about it because, I mean, that's a strong candle and it's a strong close. This would have been where we looked for intraday resistance. I mean, last hour you closed above it. You can't take it if you're closing half hour or hourly candles above the level. We can't take the short because the momentum right now, the order flow on today on CAD Swissy is bullish. Now, if it fails up here today, say it closes back down here at noon, well then, yeah, we would watch the highest hourly close, look for a retest of that level, and then take the trade with a very tight stop because at that point, you still have bullish momentum. This is a bullish engulfing daily, so it pretty much ruins the trade. You took out yesterday's low, so you did get downside continuation and ripped. So they are literally stopping everybody out. Like I said, Forex loves to do stuff like this. Loves to do it. Price goes to wherever the majority of the liquidity is. And obviously the majority of the liquidity on CAD Swiss was short. That's why it's getting this massive expansion today. This could literally continue. It would be you would be hard pressed to get me to jump into a short on this right now. But yeah. Can I do Swiss franc Aussie? I can do Aussie Swiss franc. I can't trade Swiss franc versus Aussie. But I can trade Aussie versus Swiss franc. We were looking for a short on it last week, and it just did not play out. We were looking for the short right in here. Right at the week open. And you can see Thursday, it stopped us out. My bias is still bearish on this. On Aussie Swiss. Now, it would be the exact opposite if you can trade Swiss franc versus Australian dollar. So basically, you're just flip-flopping the base currency. You're looking to trade Swiss franc versus Aussie, then you would have a different bias, the opposite bias. But right now, you could just invert the chart, right? And that's Swiss versus Aussie. Right now, it's still bearish. But Aussie Swiss is what I have to trade because of my broker. It will not let me trade Swiss franc versus Australian dollar. CHF AUD is probably on ice only. See? Yeah. I can't trade this. I can only trade on Forex.com and Oanda. So I have to trade Aussie versus Swiss franc. But yeah, I mean, I had a bearish bias on it and it's turned around. So clearly the majority of the market was bearish based on the indicators here. And now the market's going higher to chase all that liquidity out. It doesn't always work. Everything works in trading, just not all the time. This is why you have to manage your risk. These indicators, just this strategy alone right here on the daily time frame, look for shit around the 50, look for stuff around the 21 exponential, and look to take the trade in that direction. You will win trades. You will also lose trades. Nothing works all the time. Why buy this? Bears are in control of momentum. It's trending lower. It's bearish on the year. There's a million reasons why this is bearish. But for today, price wants to destroy the shorts. And that's all you can say about it. Take the lump and move on. Or if it just doesn't work, like it didn't pan out for us last week, we're not going to try to jump on it again this week. We're going to give it a week, let it chill out, let it do all the stopping that it wants to do, and then we'll get our bias next week for it. If it gives us a signal. If it doesn't, we'll leave it alone until we get a signal. But yeah, I mean, it still looks bearish to me. You're under the yearly open. Momentum, you kind of really don't have momentum. Right? I mean, you had a lot of momentum when the crap was hitting the fan. And we were short this back here. Right? We had the right call on. This was just one of those times where it reached up just high enough to liquidate us, and then it took off without us. Very upsetting, because that was a massive move. That's probably one of the biggest intraday moves, not going back to when the Swiss franc was pegged to the US dollar, but since then, since that peg was broken, this is one of the biggest Swiss franc moves I've seen, just on a daily basis. But yeah, it really sucked missing that. Especially since this is what I do. Especially since I was in it. In the right way and everything. It does. It hurts. And that's always going to hurt. But I'll catch it if it ever does it again. I'll be there. I'll be waiting. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I think right now everybody is positioning themselves bullish. Let's go look at some ratios real quick just to make sure, and then we'll wrap this stream up. Let's get rid of the moving average. We don't need it. This is not a tradable asset. This is just to show us. This is when everybody was afraid of inflation. They started to position like that. Are they positioning themselves right now for fear of inflation? No. It's going up. It is not going down. Same with growth versus value. Inflationary fears, you get this. You get big moves to the downside. Have you been getting big moves to the downside since April's lows? Nope. It's going the opposite direction with momentum. Another one, same thing. Inflationary. This is the opposite of inflationary. It's going up. SPY. This was the yen carry trade unwind. This was the bear market we just had in April's lows. It's going the opposite direction. It's going up. Nobody is positioning right now for inflation, inflationary fears. This accelerates to the upside. It is not accelerating to the upside. It is doing the opposite. Fresh yearly lows. It is trending down, not up. So everybody that's looking for inflation or a recession is early. Like so early, they're wrong. We should see that with risk. Just look at risk itself. The S&P 500. What are we doing? This week, we just took out last week's high. Woot, woot. I said this morning in the Discord, we're looking for bullish risk today. There's today. Bullish risk. Up. This is a major inflection point, being the yearly opening range. You can see how you got above it, then you rejected. If this was going to be bearish, it would have done it last week. It did not. In fact, it closed above last week. It was a good close. That had us bullish going into this week. Now, it could liquidate March's high, or this swing high over here that was put in back in May, at the March open, and then roll over, but I wouldn't be taking that trade unless I get like a big bearish engulfing candle or something. Then maybe we'll talk about it. But until then, bullish. It's going up. Bitcoin going up. I think the bears are wrong. Look at this close, man. I think the bears are wrong. Boom, finally starting to reach for the sky. I think I'm going to put a little bit more risk on. Boom. Let me get over here real quick. $20.20. Limit. Move it up just a little bit. Oh, it didn't fill me. It might fill me if it went on the next tick. See, this doesn't have to trade with Bitcoin, so be very careful if you're trading this, please. This thing moves very fast. I trade it with a much smaller position size than I trade with Bitcoin. Because this, I'm telling you, this thing moves. It can move 1% in a minute. Just for currency swap. Oh. Yeah, I mean, just for currency swap. So you want to wait. Like if you want to swap currency, you want to wait. You want to swap it cheaper, right? Are you switching franc versus, what are you swapping? Aussies into francs or francs into Aussies? I mean, anytime you're doing that, you want to get it when it's like, you want to get rid of your currency when it's more expensive. You want to get into the other currency when it's cheap. So, yeah. If it continues to go down, I don't see why it can't. It just opened the month and it's heading lower. So, I mean, here's the thing. The midpoint of last month will be an important area to look. So around 186, 1.8650. Watch that area, because that area could act as support. You're moving there from Australia. Got it. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I think that would be a good spot to look because, like I said, you also have this wick over here. And I usually don't like to use wicks as like areas of resistance. I like the closes or the opens better for areas of resistance and support. However, when you're looking at a monthly time frame, when it's a monthly swing, that is a big level. We have seen those levels act as support and resistance many, many times. So, I mean, as long as it's a monthly level, like as long as it's the monthly high, then you can watch it. It's also going to be the midpoint of last month. So it's confluence. You got 2 points of confluence there. That's why you would be watching there. But yeah, let's see what Bohm does here. It's kind of puking a little bit more than I would want to see it puke. It's making a double top, and it did liquidate. Even though there's some space here, remember, this is gappy. It's gappy. So this is a liquidation. It did liquidate the highs. If your stop loss was setting just above that wick, you did get liquidated. And it is starting to come off a little bit. But this is the first half of this 30-minute candle. It'll set the range quick. We don't know how big the range will be, but it usually will set the range quickly. Like in the first 15 minutes, you will set the high and low. And then back up maybe. But Bitcoin is doing the same thing. No, it isn't. So Bitcoin looks like an upside continuation, but it doesn't mean it will be. Gold's still going higher. And yen still making fresh lows. Yen about to make another fresh low on day. Yen futures. So be very careful if you're trying to buy Bitcoin or Bohm way up there. Here is fresh lows almost. But it is making that lower push. But we know Bitcoin isn't trading like yen futures today because yen futures have just been trending lower. Yen has been trading like a risk-off currency as of late. So if risk is going up, yen is going down. I want to see Bitcoin get that correlation back to risk. I don't want to see it correlated with a risk-off asset. That's not good. I would much rather see it correlated with risk. If risk is going higher, I want to see Bitcoin going higher because then we can watch the VIX. If you watch Saturday's upload, if you didn't, it's a short one. I think it's like 13 minutes. Give it a watch. On Friday, we were looking at this. It was trading above here, and I said I want to see it close back under 1930. Well, Friday, it did close back under 1930. That's good. That's what I want to see. And then Monday was choppy. It opened way back up here, set in a lower high, boom, made a lower low. Very choppy. But now we're seeing that continuation. So anybody that thought that the VIX was going to break out, they're clearly wrong. This is what we want to see for risk markets to remain bullish. And we want to see Bitcoin's correlation come back to risk. And it might be trying to do that today. Maybe that's what Bitcoin is trying to do today. Now, if Bitcoin closes as a big bearish candle today, then you can throw it all out the window. If Bitcoin closes today under the 21 exponential moving average, then that will tell me that there was a lot more supply up here than demand, clearly. So then going into tomorrow's day, because I don't know if I'll do a live stream tomorrow or not, but we'll see whatever Bitcoin does today. If Bitcoin closes up above, then we won't because we're just looking for upside continuation. But if Bitcoin closes back under the 21 today, we'll do a live stream before 9:30 again tomorrow. And then we'll look to short resistance and we'll capitalize on any further downside Bitcoin wants to put in. But I would love to see it close bullish. I want to see it continue higher. with risk. I want to see that bullish correlation come back, as you know, that would just be better for the gold trade and everything else, because I still kind of have that a little bit of just a hunchy hunch on gold that it probably wants to go a little bit lower. All right, so let me pull up the chat. Yeah, I know. I just saw that. I'll put it back over there real quick. Yeah, I do that all the time. Wait. AUD. Yeah, this is the monthly swing I was talking about right here. This monthly swing at 186. 186.37. That'll be the midpoint of last month's candle and this old monthly swing back in August of 2024. Because remember, we had August of 2024 was the yen carry trade unwind scare. That's why you had such a big spike that month on Swiss franc. So yeah, I think you could get down there potentially, but right now it is more bullish than bearish, clearly. Right? But today looks good if you are looking to do it lower. If you want to do it when it's higher, then you can also wait for that. Because right now, momentum is on the side of the bulls still on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame. So even though it looks like today it wants to go lower, this could literally just be a liquidation right now. Swiss franc is going down, right? It's going down because risk markets are going up. So Swissy is moving a little bit lower. All right, guys, with that being said, I guess we'll wrap this thing up. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hey, Heath, I think your stream is locked up. No, I forgot, Fuzzy. I forgot. I left you guys over on my other monitor, my fourth monitor. I have 5 monitors. I left you on the fourth one, and I was looking at the second one. So I do that a lot. I'm not the best. I get so confused sometimes. What happens is I'm not looking at the monitor where you guys are. I keep focus on the middle monitor, the number 2 monitor, and I forget about it over here on this monitor. Like that. But I need to switch it back to this monitor, as this is the monitor that you are looking at. I keep getting that confused. But I'll get better. I'll do more live streams. My internet seems to be working fine. I've done a few of these live streams lately, and the speed has been good. There's 0 dropped frames. I mean, download speed is cooking. I'm live, and I have all my trading platforms open, and we're still cooking with grease. Upload speed has to stay over 10, preferably, in order to maintain a good, solid, strong stream. You can see upload speed is doing just fine. As long as my internet is putting out numbers like that, I can go live every single day. I have no problem with going live every single day. I'm here every single day anyway. You know what I mean? So, I don't have a problem with it. We'll see. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody. Oh, go check out James Stanley's stream if he's not streaming yet. He will be streaming. Let me see. I don't see a link from James Stanley yet. I'll put it in Twitter when he goes live. You guys can go give him a watch. He's a great analyst. He's been doing this a very, very long time. He's a writer for Forex.com. He used to be with DailyFX. DailyFX stopped doing stuff for the U.S., and then the U.S. guys that worked for DailyFX had to go work with other places. So he writes for Forex.com, writes really good articles. He's a Forex guy. You know what I mean? He also will look at risk and Bitcoin occasionally, but he's mainly Forex. I'll drop his link in Twitter. Follow me over on Twitter. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and have a happy day. Trade good.